I'm just about to leave to go on a camping trip in the cool weather, and I thought this would be a good time to put together a video of my 5 tips for sleeping while cold weather camping. When I talk about cold weather camping, I'm talking about Texas, Arkansas, winter time type camping. I'm not talking about like the Arctic regions or anything like that. So my definition of cold is when it's less than 30 outside. I have been camping in the single digits before. I've gone multiple times in the wintertime, and I actually like camping in the late fall, winter time frame because there's no bugs and there's usually not a lot of other people out there camping either. So you have a lot more privacy and you're more free to do a lot more stuff that you enjoy and really kind of take in that camping experience. So I would encourage everyone to, if you enjoy camping, try winter camping at some point. It's a different experience. It's not for everyone. Some people don't like the cold, and some people prefer the cold. The first and most important thing to have is a winter rated sleeping bag. Most sleeping bags will have a degree of comfort on them listed somewhere on the packaging, and that's important to pay attention to. But it's not an exact science either because the bag that I use is actually rated. So this is the bag that I have. It's a Coleman. I bought it at Walmart probably 10 years ago, and it's rated 10 to 30 degrees. And I would say it's definitely comfortable in the 30s. I don't like it when it gets into the 20s. I don't know. It's probably personal preference, but that's its rating. The first time I actually winter camped, I didn't really know anything about it, and I had a cotton sleeping bag. Avoid cotton. Cotton is bad. The problem with cotton is it's going to absorb your moisture, your sweat. Well, not even your sweat, just your humidity, your moisture. As you exhale, you're exhaling moisture. That cotton's going to suck all that in, and it's going to get cold, and it's going to trap that in. And evaporation is actually what causes things to get cooler, to go down in temperature. And so when you're surrounded by cotton, it's constantly sucking in all that moisture off your body, and then it's evaporating, which is actually dropping your temperature. So they're nice and comfortable, but keep those for the summertime. Get yourself a winter-rated sleeping bag, poly anything, polyester. Fleece, whatever you have, just make sure your sleeping bag is rated for it. A winter rated sleeping bag is the most important part of sleeping comfortable during a winter camping trip. The second tip I have that's also just as important as your sleeping bag is what's underneath your sleeping bag. So your heat rises, and so when you're in that sleeping bag, the only heat source in that sleeping bag is your body. And you're trying to trap as much of that heat in as you can. And so the heat rises, so you generally think, well, throw another blanket on if I start to get cool. Well, it also matters what's underneath that sleeping bag. It may even be just even more important because you're compressing what's underneath your sleeping bag. And so if you're sleeping, like, let's say on the ground or something like that, you're always going to be touching a cold ground, and that's going to be sucking up into your sleeping bag. So make sure you also, whatever you put on top of your sleeping bag, also make sure you can put below your sleeping bag. Some people recommend liners inside your sleeping bag. I don't really like that because I kind of feel like I get too congested or tied up in a knot, and I don't like that feeling. I would rather wrap something on the outside of my sleeping bag, so you can get another sleeping bag and put your sleeping bag inside of it if you want to stay even warmer. But what I generally do is I use a memory foam topper. Foam is a great insulator. So if you get about 2 inches or so, it's going to feel kind of like you're almost at home in your own bed as far as comfort goes. But then that's adding some insulation value as well. That's going to help keep you warmer in that sleeping bag. Air mattresses are not as good unless they're insulated air mattresses. I bought this a while ago for moto camping. It's a climate insulated Static V Recon, and it says it has an R value of 4.4. So this is an air mattress. It's nice and portable. Like I said, I got it for moto camping, so it's nice and compact. But on this trip, being nice and compact isn't as necessary since I've got a little jumping jack trailer that I'm taking. So just a foam mattress or a memory foam topper, that should be sufficient for the temperatures that I'm going to be camping in. My third tip is you've got your body covered, neck down, right? So you could put your sleeping bag over your head, but that actually traps even more moisture inside of your sleeping bag. So that's not always the best way to do it. It's best if you can keep your head out of your sleeping bag and still breathe. And they do sell sleeping bags that do kind of cover your head for really cold weather. I don't like those at all. So I prefer to stick with just a little beanie, a hat. Um, you lose a lot of your heat out of your head, and if you're like me and your hair is thinning or you've just got short hair, that's even worse. You're going to feel that cold air. You're going to be nice and cozy inside your sleeping bag, but your your head that's outside the sleeping bag, you're going to feel that cold. So just throwing something like this on, if you get one that's nice and soft, this one actually has a battery pack in the back because it's got a headlight built in, which is really convenient, but that kind of bothers me when you're sleeping on it because it's a hard spot hitting the back of your head. So you can buy beanies anywhere. The stores all sell them, but get yourself a nice beanie that you like. Avoid cotton if you can, but some kind of beanie that will go a long way in keeping you warm. The fourth one I don't quite understand, but I have tried it and it does seem to work, is you would think going to bed with all these winter clothes on will actually keep you warmer because now you've got extra layers on when you're in your sleeping bag. It's actually counterproductive because it doesn't allow your body to breathe. So again, like I was saying at the beginning, all that humidity and moisture, I mean, you're what, 60, 70, something like that percent water. All that moisture is going somewhere while you're sleeping. And if you just completely trap it all in, then your body's gonna stay warm, but then that moisture is gonna start cooling it down. And then the other side of that is, like I said before, your body's the only thing creating heat inside of that sleeping bag. So if you trap all of that heat right up next to your body, then anytime you move in the middle of the night, that new spot you go to is going to be cold in your sleeping bag because you're not able to keep your whole sleeping bag warm. So what I do is I just wear something comfortable. I wear a pair of, you could wear fleece pajama pants. I usually just actually wear my boxers. I'll put some fleece pajama pants in there. I sleep more comfortably when I'm wearing boxers or maybe some gym shorts or something like that. I might wear a long john shirt, but I might not. It's just whatever I feel comfortable in. You're gonna sleep better if you're comfortable. And then you're also going to still be able to keep that sleeping bag warm. So don't wear too much when you go to bed. Wear something. A lot of times I have to get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And so when I get up, for some reason, I don't know, I kind of like getting up in the cold and quickly going to use the bathroom and coming back in because it reminds me how warm my sleeping bag is whenever I crawl back into it. So, fourth tip, don't overdress when you go to bed. Now, my fifth tip. This one is it may be cheating, but it's an auxiliary heat source inside of your sleeping bag if you can do it. So the first time I did this, I used those hot hands. I broke a couple of those and threw them in my sleeping bag. They work really well. They work a long time. They'll last all night. And I liked them being right down by my toes because that's usually where I feel the cold the most. And I'll just push on those with my toes, and it helps warm me back up. Those are cheap. They're disposable. I've heard it before. I haven't actually tried this, but I've heard people say boil water, put that in a bottled water, and throw it in your sleeping bag. They say that works. I haven't tried it, but it makes sense. It seems like that would also help. I cheat. I just kind of started doing this last time I went. I have a heated throw blanket that it's a Sunbeam. I bought it at Walmart for I think like $30, and I set it down under my sleeping bag because heat rises. It gives me another layer under my sleeping bag, and then I turn that thing on. And I usually only use it because I have a good enough sleeping bag for the weather that I'm in. I usually only use it just when I get in bed, and that's to make it so it's not really cold when I get in and I'm having to start from scratch to heat it up. It's already warm when I crawl in my sleeping bag. Then I turn it off. If I leave it on, I usually get too hot. Um, and then that's also kind of nice because throughout the night, if it starts to get cold and I wake up and I'm just feeling a little too cold, I feel like I need to throw another blanket on, I can reach out and just hit that heated blanket button, turn it back on low, and it kind of helps bring me back up to warm. Now, that's going to be probably not doable if you don't have power. A lot of times when I go winter camping, somebody's there with a generator. A heated blanket pulls 100 watts when it's running, and then it's going to cycle on and off. So it it really doesn't end up using that much power. But I also, this trip, I have some jackeries that I'm going to try it out on. So stay tuned for that video. I'm going to see how well a jackery can run a heated blanket to keep me warm while I'm winter camping. And then I also used to, a couple times ago, I used to have a little dog, a Chihuahua Min Pin mix, and I'm sad to say he passed away. He died this year, but he used to go with me winter camping, and he was great because he was like another auxiliary heat source. He absolutely loved winter camping. He loved going on hikes, loved all of that stuff. And at night, he would crawl all the way to the bottom of my sleeping bag, curl up down there, and make a nice warm place for him. And I got to use some of that heat because I'd get in my sleeping bag and he had already heated it up for me. So that's another good tip. If you've got a dog, keep him in your sleeping bag with you. He'll help keep you warm. So those are my 5 tips for sleeping while winter camping. I've got a bonus tip for you. It's right here, a Snickers bar. Whenever you eat something, your body burns that heat, and these go through your body pretty quick. So if you are chilly, before you go to bed, you can eat yourself a hot thing of ramen, or you can just eat yourself one of these Snicker bars, and your body will start burning those calories, which generate heat, which will also help make you feel a little bit warm in your sleeping bag. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something on this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you'd like to see more videos like it.